The aim of this presentation is twofold. Firstly, to introduce you to the helicopter and its equipment with the emphasis on you using it, and secondly, to brief you on safety procedures for working in and around the helicopter, both on the ground and in the air. The reason for this presentation is to save your equipment and the helicopter from damage and destruction, and to save yourself and others from injury or death. During this presentation, and when flying, I may refer to the clock ray method of describing an object with reference to the helicopter. If you can imagine the mast as the centre of the clock, the front of the helicopter then becomes 12 o'clock and the rear of the helicopter becomes 6 o'clock. I am standing at about the 10 o'clock position. This particular helicopter is a Bell 206, commonly known as a Bell Jet Ranger. It is a 5-seat, single main rotor, single turbine engined helicopter. It has a cruise speed of 100 knots and a range on full tanks of about 300 miles. However, it should be noted that we do not always operate on full tanks, and in fact cannot do so when there are 5 persons on board. The main rotor moves in a counterclockwise direction and, contrary to popular belief, can sail quite close to the ground during engine shutdown after an emergency landing and in gusty wind conditions, and of course has decapitated the odd unfortunate person. The tail rotor is located at the rear of the helicopter in the 6 o'clock position and rotates approximately 6 times for every rotation of the main rotor. It is very close to the ground, very fast moving and very difficult to see. It has been responsible for the injury or death of many unwary persons. The turning rotors move a large mass of air. Any of you ladies who have had your skirts blown up will know this. This mass of air can also lift loose objects into the rotors or propel them missile-like into eyes and ears. The doors are opened as follows. Pull the outside handle to unlock the catch and open. To open the door, the handle is moved down to the oblique position to unlock the catch, and the door is opened like so. To close it, a gentle slam using the aluminium handle, and the door handle is returned to its horizontal position. Close the door from the outside. A gentle but firm press against the door will engage the catch, and then pressing the handle flush with the door will lock it. The windows on each door are opened and closed like so. The cargo door is opened by pressing in on the catches like so and opening. It is closed in the reverse manner by first closing the door flush and engaging the catches. The rear passenger door is removed as follows. Firstly, remove the strap. Secondly, remove the lower hinge. Thirdly, remove the upper hinge. And fourthly, carry the door firmly and low, well clear of the helicopter. Replacement of the rear door is pretty much the reverse of removal. The rear seat belts are very much like car seat belts in their manner of locking, adjusting and unlocking. They should be worn about as tight as you would normally wear a car seat belt. Care should be taken when leaving the helicopter to make sure that the seat belts stay inside and are not allowed to fall outside, either on the ground or in flight, because they will then bang against the fuselage, causing damage. The front seat pelts are a full harness type, similar to those used on racing and rally cars. They feature a lap belt and two shoulder straps. The lap belt is adjustable on both sides, and it's done up like so. The shoulder harness is an inertia reel capability, and that is done up like so. The belt is undone with a counterclockwise twist of the star. Headsets are provided for all passengers and are worn like so. The press to talk button for the left front seat passenger is either this little square red button on the console or the little brass foot button at the base of the console. For the rear seat passenger, there are two types of press to talk switch. Firstly, the black button pressel type switch, or the on-off toggle type switch, which is usually used by a cameraman. Dual controls can be fitted to this helicopter. Thus, the left-hand front seat pedals are directly connected to the pilot's pedals and to the tail rotor. There is also a control stub located at the base of the left-hand front seat, and this is connected to the joystick type control. The other control stub is located between the left front seat and the left door, and this control stub is connected to the collective power lever. Care should be taken not to kick or push these control stubs or the pedals. Sign language is used whenever voice is impractical, normally because of the rotor noise. Simply, a thumbs up like so is a request or an approval to do something. A thumbs down or a palm extended is a disapproval, normally given by the pilot. At night time, obviously, this cannot be seen, so a flash of a torch will be used as a request, and the approval will be given by another flash of the torch from the cockpit or a flash of the landing light. If there is no flash of the landing light or no flash of the torch from the cockpit, that constitutes disapproval. To approach the helicopter, you give thumbs up while still outside the rotor arc, and move into the helicopter only if the thumbs up is returned by the pilot. Stay put if the pilot gives you thumbs down or extended palm. Similar procedure should be done at the front of the helicopter before moving away underneath the rotor arc. The cameraman's harness is used in place of a seatbelt when filming with the door off. It is worn like so. It is anchored to the rear of the pilot's or front seat passenger's seat like so, and is adjusted like so. Also, there's a strap provided for the camera. Also in the rear passenger compartment are the yellow first aid kit, the blue survival kit, the orange search and rescue beacon, and the red fire extinguisher. Life jackets should be worn for over water flight and are worn like so. They feature a gas cylinder and the red handle that is pulled or jerked to inflate it, a mouthpiece that can be used to either blow up the jacket further or release air, a whistle, and a water activated battery that will set the torch going. Safety before the sortie starts before the helicopter arrives. Please don't park your car in the middle of the clearing, rather move it to the edge. And likewise, keep yourselves and your equipment to the edge. You don't necessarily know the pilot's preferred touchdown point or takeoff path. After the helicopter arrives, go through the thumbs up procedure before moving into the helicopter. Move in and out between the 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock arcs via the front of the helicopter. Do not move aft of the rear cargo door. Do not touch any rotating parts. Carry your luggage firmly and in a horizontal position. If there is a slope, move on the downhill side. Remove hats and don't put hands up into the air to catch anything that gets blown upwards by the rotor wash. When loading luggage, make sure the pilot can see what's being loaded, and as a general rule, bulky, less heavy items should go in the boot, heavier items should go on the floor in the rear passenger compartment, and no cargo goes in the front. The maximum would perhaps be a handbag and a notebook. Inside the helicopter, when closing the doors, make sure that nothing is hanging out. Particularly watch out for the seat belts. In fact, it is simpler to belt up and put headsets on before closing the doors. If you're in the left-hand front seat, remember not to kick or push control stubs or pedals. There is no need to panic or rush, as the pilot will check all passengers before takeoff. Safety during the sortie. Helicopter aerial filming has had its share of tragedies. In the last 12 months there have been 4 helicopter crashes, 3 of which resulted in complete write-off of the aircraft, 2 of which resulted in multiple fatalities. However, if the complete crew adopts a mature and positive attitude, chances of an accident occurring are very much reduced. Weight. It is important to keep extra weight to a minimum for aerial filming. Extra weight reduces aircraft performance and thus safety margins. So don't bring your mates along for a ride, as they become unwanted baggage. Always obtain approval from the pilot before doing anything unusual, such as unbelting, moving from side to side in the back, moving from the seat to the floor pan, sticking your head, shoulders, body or camera out the door, and smoking. Whenever working with the doors off, make sure that all loose objects are securely stowed. Any object that goes out the door or windows becomes a bomb if it's heavy, or a destroyer of a tail rotor if it's light. Radios and intercom. The pilot and perhaps the crew will be monitoring several sets, namely at least one air traffic frequency, the NBN two-way, a helicopter chatter frequency if there is more than one helicopter on the job, and the intercom. Depending on the phase of the sortie, each will have varying importance. If the radio is being used, even by other aircraft, don't talk over it, as the pilot may need to hear what's being said. Landing on the job. Don't rush to unbelt and hop out. Wait until you're told it's okay to dismount. There may be a requirement to reposition the aircraft. Furthermore, if there is an engine or control failure at the hover, you're safer if belted in. Spectators in large numbers, and mostly under the age of 12, are common. The cameraman and his assistant, or any 2 passengers, may be asked to dismount and control the crowd until the rotors are stopped. The procedure is to depart from the front of the helicopter in the normal manner, move about 15 feet outside the rotor arc, and then the cameraman moves to the rear to the 4 to 5 o'clock position, and the assistant moves forward to the 10 to 11 o'clock position. Visual contact should be maintained between all 3 people, namely the cameraman, his assistant and the pilot. A similar procedure may be used when starting up on the job. Safety after the sortie. is in fact similar to safety before and safety during the sortie. However, extra care is required because of tiredness, fatigue and the possible lunchtime beer. Extra points to consider are: make sure seatbelts are put back in the aircraft before closing doors and that the doors are closed properly. If replacing the back door, remember to carry it firmly and keep it low to the ground. If the back door is staying off, put loose objects in the boot and ensure seatbelts are done up and stowed so as not to flap out. Remember to close the boot, the pilot can't see it, and finally let the pilot know when everything is unloaded. Your actions in an emergency. Your first indication of an emergency will probably be a curse or a prayer from the pilot, then followed by a mayday call which goes something like this: Mayday, mayday, mayday. Helicopter Charlie Echo Charlie is 5 miles south of Singleton and has had an engine failure. You'll perhaps then be told that there's an emergency.